Okay. That's fine.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can I get a motion to reconvene the regular meeting of the Proviso Township High School Board of Education? Thank you. Before we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, I do want to have a moment of silence. As I'm sure everyone knows, we recently lost our county clerk, Karen Yarbrough. While not an alumni, she was a big supporter of our students here and making sure that we did the best we could for our students in this township. So we want to send our thoughts and healing to her family. And then we also want to acknowledge that we did lose a student in a car accident over the weekend. So please take a moment of silence for Maria Renee Gutierrez Santos. She was a freshman at East, and then she transferred to her sophomore year to West. So there are a lot of students affected right now. So if we could just keep her family and our entire school family and community in your prayers. So if we could just have a moment of silence, please.
We need to call the meeting back to order. There's a motion on the floor. We didn't vote on it.
Give me 1 minute, please. Thank you. At this time, Ms. Burton, you want to call the roll?
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Mrs. Hickson?
Aye.
Mr. Ocampo?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson? Aye. Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Gutierrez? Ms. Barberman? Aye. Motion carried. We are in regular meeting at 7:22 p.m.
Thank you. At this time, I invite everyone who is able to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Barberman, please read the vision statement.
Through expectations of excellence and by providing equitable educational opportunities to empower each student, our graduates are prepared for college careers and to serve as contributing members of a dynamic global society.
At this time, the Board of Education opens the floor for public comment. The board will receive public comment from any individual present this evening who has submitted a request to address the board for the established procedures. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 2-230. We believe that all participants in the meeting desire the best outcomes for our students, families, and communities. As a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed and will also be archived and available on the district website.
Our first comment tonight, Sandra Hickson.
Good evening. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:32. I want to remind you all of what I said when I ran for office. I did not want the presidency, vice presidency, nor secretary. My passion was twofold and is twofold. The students in the best interest of the district. The goals I ran on were prioritizing student policies. The policy committee was implemented, and I am the chair. Currently, all the policies are up to date. Our next policy meeting will be this month, and then the final issue will be May 15th. Prior to my leadership, the district had been delinquent on policies for 2 years. Return resources to students. The district is partnering with River Hospital for mental health support. Restore public trust. Give a true picture of the current affairs of the district. Increase transparency. I continue to be visible and available to the community members. Accountability. Being responsible for my actions and interactions with the Board of Education and communities. Despite the hard work efforts that I have put in for the students of District 209, I am deeply disturbed by the level of disrespect that I have received since I have been sitting on this board. I did not come to the table came to me. Now, sitting at the table, there have been times when I feel as though my place and my voice have been ignored. Being a District 209 school board member is an arduous task. I have been vilified and disrespected in ways that have become almost unbearable and intolerable at times. I recognize unconscious bias and microaggressions. I am dedicated to the education to fight with integrity for our students and to ensure that the right people are operating our district as an entity. All of our school leadership should ensure students' education is a priority and represent the population we serve. I am not beholden to anyone on this board that does not have the best interests of the student and the district at heart. Particularly those who say one thing and do the complete opposite. I do not belong to any group or clique, past or present. I am an independent thinker and I vote my conscience. To the students of the district, I want the same for you as a board member that I did when I taught you. Nothing but the best. You deserve the opportunity to get the best education and resources the district, the staff, and the board can provide to you. Keep pursuing your goals, whether it's college or trade. Continue to learn, and most importantly, continue to be your best, because that's who you are. You are nothing but the best. To the mayors and dignitaries, I am humbled by your presence. To the community, thank you for holding this board of education accountable for your votes, independently and collectively. Transparency is the key in all areas, because ultimately, being transparent and accountable will affect resources and the quality of education in which the students will receive the path forward to the district. To my family and sorors, I have a couple of things to say, please. To my family and sorors, I could not have done this without your unwavering support and love. And lastly, to my fellow board members, if you want to start the healing process, it begins and ends with all of us. We have been divided too long. Let's stand in unison, applaud the students and the community for expressing their concerns. And if you don't do it, guess what? I'm a leader. I'm going to stand up.
Right. Next is Tara Sam.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to address you. I wear so many hats, but tonight, the hat that I wear is as Vice President of the IFT, Cook County Commissioner of the 1st District, a veteran Chicago Public School teacher of 25 years, and an administrator with the Chicago Teachers Union. So maybe that was more than a hat. But I'm coming here to really just address the body, because more than anything, I am deeply concerned that the voice of young people have been ignored in this process. I had the opportunity just a couple of weeks ago to sit at the round table that was facilitated by young people that are comprised of young people representing this entire district. And they were very, very, not only was it well chaired, but their passion and their interest and their authority over not only what they need to learn, but how they need to learn. And the fact that the motto of this district is nothing but the best. And that the fact that they are trying to be the best students, are counting on educators to be nothing but the best educators, and want the administrators and the superintendent that represents this district to be nothing but the best. It's come to my attention that what we have coming before us in terms of you all's choice may be a little bit less than that. Let me say this. It is imperative that in school districts, much like Chicago Public Schools, where they comprise over 78% of those young people are African American, that there is African American leadership that is represented. In a country that is slowly teetering on fascism, and where we are rolling back DEI programs and all of the things that our ancestors fought for through the civil rights movement are being eroded in front of our eyes. It's critical, imperative that people who are in spaces of leadership must stand up and speak truth to power, and actually only engage conversations that are rooted in truth, because only truth will transform. Our young people and this district needs representation because representation matters. As a veteran Chicago public school teacher, it is critical that young people, both African American and Latino and others, see people in front of them. That is the determining factor of their success. It is rooted in all kinds of research that I do not have to bore you with now. But one of the primary determinants of the success of young people are the people who are actually in front of them. That means they're educators, that means the people who are running their building, and certainly the people that are running their school district. So I ask that you all really do consider what you are putting forth tonight and make sure that the voices of young people are amplified in these spaces, because what we're doing right now tonight is going to determine how our young people go forward and see themselves in leadership, not only in this district, but in this country and in this world. So it is our responsibility to fight and advocate for them so that they know that there is a pathway forward, as our ancestors did for us. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. All right, we're standing here in solidarity as the village of Maywood, village of Bronx.
We can hear you.
You guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right, so we're standing here tonight in solidarity with the village of Maywood, village of Broadview, and village of Bellwood in a few different steps. So we're going to talk about a couple different things in hopes that you guys will listen to what we're saying, not only as elected officials, but as residents and taxpayers as well. One, to what Commissioner Stamps said, representation does matter. We are predominantly Black, disadvantaged, and Hispanic community, which make up the vast majority of the Proviso Township. Leadership that reflects the student body is what's needed in this district. Two, the district needs healing and unity among the board. Couldn't agree with you more when we talk about we cannot portray ourselves to be unified in public, but then talk about each other behind each other's back, not work together, not share information, and just be slick for no reason. That's the address. The district needs a plan for our low-performing students entering into 9th grade. So I really do hope that there's some sort of plan that we can work with the elementary school bodies that are coming in and supporting. The district needs someone who will lead with compassion for our students, families, teachers, and staff, because everybody across the board needs to heal across this district. Someone with a proven record for student achievement and success is needed, not someone who has been denied across this country in multiple regions, saying no, 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 no. The district needs a plan for competent leadership at the schools and the administration. We work with the kids in the after-school program. I just took 100 6th and 7th graders to Springfield, just got off the bus 10 minutes ago. Literally, the conversation that is around this district, even with some of your staff, there is a disconnect from the board, the administration, and the buildings that they operate in. That needs to change. One thing I will say, coming in, being a part of the community meetings that took place for the different candidates, it was a little disheartening to learn that they were treated differently throughout the interview process. It was disheartening to learn how some people get paraded around the district and some people get told to use their GPS and not even greet that building. And I think that needs to be dealt with. We need to talk about the quality of PMSA that is drastically dwindling. We still have this blue ribbon that we celebrate. Do we even qualify for it anymore? We need to deal with that. We need to think about even these meetings that you guys as a board selected to no longer have a Proviso East, no longer have a Proviso West, only And one thing I will say, even tonight, coming to this meeting, and this wasn't even part of my notes until it became a part of my notes. That bathroom right there is disgusting.
Wow.
This is supposed to be the Math and Science Academy. That's the premier school. I only got one more thing and then I'm done. There's no toilet tissue. There's no paper towel. There's holes in the wall. There's tape holding up a kicked-in door. We cannot continue to watch the board conduct themselves as us against them, then be surprised when our children are doing the same thing. We have fights in every single school. Some schools are better than others, but guys, you all have to work together so that the kids can see the change that we want them to become.
Thank you. Della Patterson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I too agree with Ms. Hickson. I too agree with Mayor Nathaniel Booker, Mayor Andre Harvey, Mayor Katrina Thompson. I then take this time to thank you for coming out. I want our parents to be very much aware of what is going on. Last year, I sat silently. Drug, former superintendent, board members. This is not an easy job. I mean, it comes with the territory. But what I will no longer do is sit and know there's wrongdoing going on. I will not participate. Because if I sit and not say anything, I then become a participant.
Yes, right. Explicit.
We interviewed a few people for superintendent. There were 3 finalists. 2 finalists, the red carpet was rolled out for. 1 finalist, it was a different story. As the mayor said, he kind of made it on his own. And yes, he said, hey, I'm a big guy. You know, I'll drive myself around. But he made it very clear. I did not feel welcome when I walked into PMSA. He said, I did not feel welcome when I went to Proviso West. Your work needs to be cut out there.
Yeah.
They had a whole brawl that occurred during the time that one person was there. You had community members get up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to come to a meeting at 8 o'clock just for their feedback to mean nothing. Now, I disagree with how this has went, how the whole process from the day the search farm was picked, that we paid over $30,000.
How much?
It was not done free. You can't ask me 10 questions, and this one 10 questions, and only ask this one 4. Everything must be done decent and in order. And for that, I am going to ask this board that we do this process all over again. There was time where we were told to invite community members. I invited 10 community members. There were other board members up here invited community members. Those folks were never called. Then they came with, we're going to have a chat. You had X number of community members. I'm not stopping because I shouldn't have to do it. My voice represents the people, and I'm going to speak for the people today. You tried to muzzle me by taking off comments at the end. So I'm going to take liberty today. I'm no longer going to allow this to continue. We need to do this search over. We paid these people $30,000 and look at what we got. Now you have some folks saying, oh, he worked at the Illinois State Board of Education. Let me be 100 clear with you for 30 days. He was the superintendent for 30 days. And if he was that great, then the governor would have appointed him. He didn't do that. He did not do that. We need to do this process over. We need to do the process over again. We need to come together as a board. I have made that attempt. My last thing that I'm going to say, because I still have some more time during the meeting. I was walking down the street on yesterday in New Orleans, Louisiana. You see, I had 2 board members decided that they was not going to pay for me to go to a national school board of education. There was $1,250 that was non-refundable. See, they thought that I was going to go there and use that money. But I didn't. I used my own. I paid $1,250 for the conference. I paid $1,100 for my hotel stay. And I bought my food. I'm not asking for reimbursement. But what I'm saying is, Mr. Capo went downtown. Now, in 2016, the law passed where it said all roll call votes must take place before you attend the conference. But he went downtown and he stayed, didn't ask a soul. But Della couldn't go. So what's good for one must be good for all. And we must heal. I'm not, nope. You had your time, you said no. And we need to do this process over. You should have thought about that when you said no. When you took your $600 from these taxpayers and went downtown and stayed. Thank you.
Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Good evening, Madam President of the Board of Education. Good evening. District 209. So, my comment is on the second community chat that we had with the superintendents as I walked into this building. I had to pull out my driver's license to go through security to get the credentials to be inside. And at the time of the students, it was about between 7:45 and 8 o'clock in the morning. A former board member did not check in, did not provide her credentials to the security staff to walk right through security. That's a safety issue. We put our students and our teachers at risk. I don't give a damn who it is. They have to follow the rules and the policies of this district. When you put people's lives at risk, that is problematic. It's the person who runs this building, who is the school principal of district of PNSA, that should be responsible for the security guards to make sure everybody is checked in with the proper credentials. They should not have free will to enter these entry doors and walk straight past security, not even go through the detectors. But I did. And everybody that I saw did except one person, a former board member. That's unacceptable. So Board of Education, I hope that you take heed, and if you don't believe me, pull the video from that second meeting, and you will see it for yourself. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education, administrators, faculty.
In the mic, babe.
Good evening. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Good evening, Board of Education, administrators, faculty, community. Let me begin by thanking the board for the opportunity to participate in the community chats with the top 3 candidates for the D209 superintendency. It was a pleasure meeting all 3 candidates. With that being said, I want to emphasize the importance of the selected candidate having the support of the entire board. I know factually that Superintendent Henderson did, and I believe the same is true of Superintendent Rodriguez. To do otherwise potentially sets the new superintendent up for failure. It's also important, if you choose to involve students, faculty, and community, that you consider their input. D209 needs healing throughout the district and the community. That healing must begin with the board. The board needs to engage in a win-win process to collectively determine what we are looking for in a superintendent and rank those characteristics, which should lead to a consensus with the board, which will in turn lead to a consensus with the community. You are all elected to represent the entire D209 community, regardless of what township or town you hail from, okay? That's what we elected you to do. You are our leaders. If you are not leading us in any uniform fashion, what do you expect to happen at the lower levels? What do you expect our children to do?
Look at West.
We look at our kids. They're fighting each other. They're fighting each other. If you fight each other, what example are you setting? This board must act in a unified manner. You have to find common. We elected each and every one of you, and we would like to trust that our best interests are at heart. That's what we'd like to do. The healing process has to begin. You need to begin that process. You need to look for a way, or get somebody in, hire a consultant. You know, you seem to spend a lot of money. Hire a consultant to come in and sit down with you and find a way to get to win-win. It is a sin and a shame for board members to have to participate in audience comments. I have never seen that happen. Their voices must be heard. We every one of you have a voice, and I want to hear each and every one of your voices because you represent us throughout the community. So please, make sure you understand how important the superintendency is to this district and how important it is for all of us to bring someone in and welcome them with open arms so that we can support them as they engage in a mighty task. There's a mighty task before all of us in this district. Our kids are graduating functionally illiterate, and we need to face that. So let's get to work. Let's work together. Let's respect one another. I respect each and every one of you. And I know that if you work together, you can do what we need to do to set the district in the right path. You set the bar. If you guys can't get it together, our district is never going to move forward. Thank you.
Greetings to all.
Greetings.
I have given my fruitful labor, funds, and financials as a property owner, taxpayer in Proviso Township to District 209, Tax Code 31227 since February 1997. Roughly, that comes out to $54,000, which means I am heavily invested in students and student athletes. Well, the question could be raised from PW to PE to the district as it relates to our decision makers. How many of you are personally invested with your personal funds to students and student athletes? Many years ago, while living at 812 South 19th, I had to navigate through the urban school district from kindergarten to second grade, where I embraced a one cultural educational system that consisted of one ethnic student body. While living on 19th in St. Charles, known as the Charlie, I had to navigate through Merrill's Park School District system from 3rd grade to 8th grade, while embracing an educational culture of 6 student bodies, where all of my grade school teachers resided in Proviso Township. That means they was community invested in the students and student athletes they taught every day. Then most of my high school teachers and coaches who educated me all my years at PE resided in Proviso Township. One in Riverside Brookfield, another in downtown Navy Pier, another in Wheaton, another 3 in Oak Park, another 3 in a disclosed location. But they was community invested in our students and student athletes. Here we are today, with all of the BS degrees floating around in Proviso Township educational system. Here we are today, with all of the MA degrees floating around in Proviso Township educational system. Here we are today, with all the PhD degrees and doctoral degrees floating around in Proviso Township educational system. And we still have delays in responding and producing the academic soil and the academic grain to move all students and student athletes to higher learning in college sports, which is evident due to the fact I have not received any correspondence via text, email, or meeting based on my concerns and questions that have been sent several weeks ago. My time?
You're out of time.
Whoa. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I apologize. Please say your last name for me.
I gave my Joe.
Thank you.
So, on February, evening, communities.
Good evening.
On February 21st, my son was verbally assaulted by the students at his table. 3 Latino boys called my son the N-word repeatedly, back to back to back to back. And my other son called me, told me about it. I told him to go to the office, and the administrator felt that the solution was to have them shake hands and go their separate ways. I called for a follow-up, and the administrator brought the boys back in, and they got the opportunity to write an essay about what they had done. And still, it took me speaking to the superintendents, the principal, the vice principal, to garner an apology for my son, PMSA. And so in the meantime, my eldest son, who's now a senior, has encouraged his friends, and he said he's been suffering racial abuse and verbal abuse at the school since he's a freshman.
Anti-black.
My youngest son is a freshman, and so they've been encouraging their friends to make a record of when things happen in the school. They take recordings, screenshots. If I had it available, I would show you a screenshot they sent me on a chat they were having. And in the interest of time, I'll play this audio recording.
Looking at orangutan, monkey, hairy, chewbacca, cotton, paper, banana, peel, and
What's a shame?
That is.
All right, so this is a chat amongst many students, and then I have a screenshot. He showed me. One of the students said, "Rank my blanket 1 to 10." It's just like a foolish thing that kids do. It's not even a real blanket. It's just some rags, really. And one student replied, "Slave out of 10." Another student replied, "I could lynch you with that blanket." Something needs to be done.
Yeah.
We need some privacy. You cannot use every day to a place where they're supposed to learn and feel safe, and they don't. We expect them to excel academically, but they don't feel safe. They're doing their part. What are we doing to protect them? There needs to be some policy. When this happens, there needs to be consequences. You cannot change what people do or what they say, but you can make them accountable.
That's right.
So I don't know what's my next step, but I need policy committee, whatever it may be, but the shaking of hands and writing papers and going on about your merry way, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So please, everybody to see out too. Let's make it happen. I apologize. Bring up your wife, whoever's next. Thank you.
Antoinette Gray?
Good evening, Board of Education and my fellow Proviso Township family members, friends, alums, dignitaries, and all of the above. As you all know, some of you know, my name is Antoinette Gray. I am a Proviso East alum, 1996. And I stand before you tonight because back in 2015, when I first started working with some of the voted members of the board, your tagline as a unified front was, our children are too important to continue business as usual. And though I have stepped away for my own personal life's reasons, it seems as though it has gotten worse since you all now took office. And I'm not saying all of you, so please, if the shoe fits, wear it. But the reality is that we're now doing worse than we had in the past. So we had Dr. Henderson, and I understand there were some issues going on with staff, and as an educator, I understand. However, you all got him out. Now you're paying 3 superintendents. 4. I'm sorry. You're paying 4 superintendents, but we're now taking our children and making sure they're a priority. In 2010, when I moved back to Illinois, my priority was to help my district, the one that I love so dearly, to help increase their academic achievement. We're still at the bottom 10% after, 2015, we're now 10 years later almost. So I'm just trying to understand, where are we going? What's the direction? What are we gaining from this? But at the end of the day, you're doing this on the backs of our children.
That's right.
They don't have a choice. We have the choice. We're the educated ones. We're the degreed professionals who are supposed to represent them. You're not here for the people in the audience. You're here for their education.
That's right.
That's their foundation. They must be able to survive when they walk across that stage. And right now, we're playing politics with our children, which I don't approve of, Amanda, because I helped get you elected a couple of times. So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I love you all. I know this service is not easy, but the reality is that we're sacrificing our children for what? Please help me understand, because theory will tell you, your interim superintendent, who we actually in a PhD program together, will tell you that theory tells you you want to make sure that you have the best superintendent, because we need to become a turnaround school because we are so low with achievement. Even this building, PMSA, supposed to be the flagship, Blue Ribbon School, how? 65%? Or has it dropped below that? That's not Blue Ribbon. You have to do better by our children.
Andrew Brown.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Listen, I thank God for the opportunity to address you this evening, but I'm not really here for I get it. All of it's irrelevant. Amanda, I just read your article in Forest Park Review. You talked about integrity. You talked about having a community-minded board that's not politically driven. I get it. I am a graduate from Proviso East, Proviso West, District 89, all of that. I actually taught 10 years in this district. So that means that from pre-K all the way to Triton College. I even taught in Chicago Public Schools. I'm a retired military officer. Here's the deal. My daughter's about to graduate from Proviso West. I'm a product of the HERO program, the work program there. Proviso shaped my military career, shaped aspirations of what I'm doing. Proviso Township was built upon leaders that came out of the civil rights era. They were iconic, right? All the way down from pre-K, elementary school, all the way up to high school, all the way up to college, right? Most of the people that are in this room that came through that track, all of that. So here's my suggestion. You need to get on one accord. I think that the same dream that you dreamed about when you were going to your own school and pursuing your goals and wanting to get your degrees, the same thing like that has to be the foundation of what you're doing here. If you don't come back to the dream and the passion that drove you, then you're going to compete in the chaos. See, God's not the author of confusion. So the idea of it is that it's not even a political agenda, it's not a social agenda, it's not any kind of thing like this. It's really academics. And I know about PMSA because the first graduating class that was here that started the school, they came out of my classroom. And also, I took students out of special ed and mainstreamed them and put them on the honor roll. So I know the capacity of the But one thing I do know is that there has to be a unison and a wholeness, but it has to be driven by your passion and your dream. If you get into your own purpose, and you get into your own ideologies and things of that nature, you confuse the mission. You have a great board of leaders around here. They can all get it done. I went to a superintendent conference in 2009 by Dr. Butler. She took me out there. It was in Oak Brook at the DoubleTree. I got a chance to hang out with some really dynamic people. It's really smart people. I don't think you need 4 superintendents. I just think you need 1 superintendent with a vision. And as a taxpayer and as somebody who is fully vested in the community with my own capital and things of that nature, I really believe that, Amanda, I'm encouraging you that the same integrity you talked about, the same community-minded resource you need, I'm going to encourage you to get back to that foundation. I'm going to encourage you to partner with the folks that use your faith and pray, right? Because there are a lot of Christians around here, a lot of faith folks around here, right? Get you a scripture to stand up on, But most importantly, I'm going to encourage you to ask God to guide and direct you to bring this board together. Award-winning performance so that you can fulfill what you started this with. All right? God bless you, and remember your dreams about it. Amen.
Fred Francois.
Hello, board. I am a parent of a student, of a junior here, and I just want to say I've been encouraged by the amount of outreach for the superintendent search. And one of the things that I'm glad about is I'm glad these meetings are televised, because the superintendent, whoever the new candidate's going to be, can look back at years worth of videos of these meetings, and they'll know what they're getting into. One of the reasons that this board has been split, one of the things I look back to is this room. The last time I was in this room with this many people was a little over a year ago, about a year and a half ago. And at that time, Board Member Patterson and Board Member Alexander were working with the superintendent to fire good teachers. The community came here, we stood out, and we said we don't like this. At that time, I did not agree with Board Member Patterson, Board Member Alexander, and I don't right now either. This district has been, has a history of cronyism and nepotism that has drained the district's resources for far too long. It is a big job for a superintendent to come in and turn this around. One of the best ways to do that is to hire the most qualified candidate for each position. That is the best way to recover from cronyism and nepotism. I hope the new superintendent has that approach, and I trust you, board, have that approach for choosing the superintendent as well, the most qualified candidate. It takes a long time to turn the ship around. Let's get this new superintendent in place soon. I look forward to working with them to see this district going on the path to the best. Thank you.
At this time, we will have student recognition.
Did you turn in a form to speak? Because they weren't out there. Jarrell?
No, I came in too late.
Well, he should be able to speak. He's a student. The president of the student. Come up and go to the mic. We're not gonna. No. Go to the mic.
Good evening, board. Good evening, community.
Good evening.
I understand the reason for this meeting. I actually have my leadership here with me as well. We were having our own meeting about the topic before we came here. My secretary and my district lead is here. And one thing that we talked about was, in order for us to be one team and one goal and one proviso, we cannot allow political interests to dictate the way that we educate our student body. Now, I'm sorry for not following protocol, but there's been too many times. I just want this to go on record because Mr. Francois brought this up. It was a 7-0 vote for Dr. Henderson. The same superintendent that everybody's talking about that messed our district up, the same one that came in and brought these problems, it was a 7-0 vote. There are 3, matter of fact, 1, 2, 3. It's 4 incumbent board members that voted that 7-0 way that messed this district up, right? But this will be the second time that Mr. Valtierrez and Board President Grant would have voted for the wrong candidate again. It's too many times that we have people that put their political interests above the students' interests. You asked us to come together as one team, and that is what we did. And we gave you the feedback. I don't want nobody coming from Springfield running my district. Okay. I don't want nobody that was ran out of Youngstown, Ohio, coming to my district. I don't want nobody that was denied there to come to my district. If other people deny them, we are not the reject district. Okay. My student body. This is no longer going to be one of those times where we sit back and let the decision makers make these dumbass decisions. And I'm sorry to my godmother, to my principal, and to the ladies in the room, but I am not going to allow rejection in my building. author of confusion. Stop confusing our student body. We got fights because leadership can't get together. We got fights because the board is acting like they the real housewives of Atlanta. Get together and do the damn job. We came here supporting HBO, but if the B and the O gotta go, then community get behind it. I'm mad as hell, but then you never said it best. I'm sick and tired of being sick and damn tired. Y'all know what to do 2025. Who got next? I'm next.
At this time, we would like to have our student recognition. Mr. Plum, Mr. Antone.
Good evening, Board of Education, staff, and our esteemed guests from our communities.
We can't hear you too good, Peter.
I apologize.
No problem.
Is that better?
Yeah. A little bit.
Thank you. At this time, we're excited tonight that we would like to recognize some of our students. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mr. Luke Pavoni. I'm one of the interim superintendents, and
Mr. Alexander Anshoff, other interim superintendent.
And tonight, District 209, we celebrate the remarkable achievements of some truly outstanding individuals. We are honored to acknowledge the recipients of the West 40s School Citizens of the Year, the Scotty Award, bestowed upon students who exemplify the values of good citizenship and serve as inspiring role models for their peers. So at this time, from Proviso West, we congratulate Brianna Pop and Sabrina Jackson. And next from Proviso East, we congratulate Valeria Gonzalez Garcia and Yahira Figueroa. And then next from PMSA, we congratulate Milo Giddings and Maeve Chu.
Do we have any other students here?
What student?
No, those are our students.
No, do we have any other students here who need to come out?
No, I don't believe that.
Did they know? Yes.
Were they?
Email, calls, yes.
Yeah.
And call. Alright, right here. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so we just wanted to say to all of our Scotty Award recipients on behalf of District 209, we extend our sincerest gratitude to each of you for your remarkable achievements and contributions. Thank you for embodying the spirit of good citizenship and for being shining examples to your peers in our community. Congratulations once again on this well-deserved honor. And then next we have a staff recognition.
All right, for our staff recognition, today it's our distinct pleasure to acknowledge and celebrate the extraordinary achievements of one of our very own assistant principals at PMSA, Ms. Erin Mason. We are thrilled to announce that Ms. Mason has been honored with the prestigious 2024 Those Who Excel Award of Meritorious Service by the Illinois State Board of Education.
award is a testament to Ms. Mason's dedication and efforts in positively shaping our school community. Her commitment to excellence and her passion for education has not only enriched the lives of our students, but has also inspired those around her to strive for greatness. On behalf of District 209, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Erin Mason for her outstanding contributions and dedication to excellence. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you all.
Thank you.
And at this time, we'll have our financial update. I'd like to invite up here Dr. Deborah Watson, our CSBO.
Good evening, board members. This evening, I will present to you the clerk's and treasurer's report. Are there any questions?
What was that?
The treasurer's report. If there are no questions, we can move on to the bill list. Are there any questions?
I have one question about
Yes.
The bill list. As it relates to El Piemonte repairs.
Yes.
I was wondering, this question isn't specific to the charges, but is that something that can be done by our students? Because the services are changing oil, rotating tires. It'd be a great opportunity for our students to learn that trade, right? Like we have the mechanics program. Yeah. Because I know the charges aren't, there's nothing more than like $100, but that's certainly something that our students could do, right? And that's, we're gonna have our CTE director here, but I'll ask him that as well.
Okay. Yes, so of course I wouldn't be, in a position to answer that question, but I do agree with you if that is a service that they can offer and provide them with that experience, that would be great.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions related to the bill list?
First student.
Yes, ma'am.
It appears the first student bill is increasing. Now, with that being said, have we signed another contract? Because if we haven't signed another contract, how is this amount, how are they able to raise the amount of training? I think we really need to pay close attention to this first student. The service hasn't got any better, but this amounts are going up.
And Board Member Patterson, you are correct. They are going up. So I had several moments to take a look at all the first student bills, and what I'm seeing is just not our home is up. The routes from the schools, students being picked up. We also pay transportation for our students that attend PACE. We pay those transportation services. We're also paying for services for our out-of-district placement students as well, and those bills are increasing. But we do have a lot of routes that first students are servicing, and I have had several conversations with first student in reference to the billing. And then two, to ensure that the services that are being offered, that they are actually servicing our students, because I know that was a concern many times.
My real concern is the rate increase. You can't increase the rate if you didn't agree to it in contract. I don't recall a contract coming for this board for an increase. Yes, it is going up, but we have to agree to that. And that has not happened. And I think we need to, that's something we probably need to discuss. If the bus service hasn't gotten any better, we still have kids calling me, and the bus hasn't picked me up, and things like that. but they have increased their rate.
There was an increase that took place at the beginning of the year as I was transitioning in, and there was it was signed for the increase.
Yeah, but you said 2 meetings ago, when I asked, I said, is this an absolute large amount that you're gonna pay? And you said yes.
Yes, for the past.
I'm talking about that
Right.
again. I'm talking about, this is current, this is new.
Right.
And when I look at this and I compare it to what we had, the rate has increased. And we need to do something about that.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question about AT&T long distance. I see that as a line item. Could someone elaborate on that? Mr. Swanson, perhaps?
Evening board. So the AT&T long distance is, we have a WAN agreement, which is our inner connection between the buildings, as well as old legacy phone lines that we've been deactivating over time. So we're actually catching up on bills that hadn't been paid in a very substantial amount of time. Our current AT&T now resolved correct billing is about $2,800 a month. Moving forward, but we are still in some arrears that we're working through with AT&T and our consultant on that. But we went from, and this was about a year and a half ago, roughly $100,000 a month from AT&T down to $2,800. And out of that $2,800, $2,600 of it is reimbursed by E-rate.
So how many T1 lines are there?
We don't have any T1 lines anymore.
Are there any more questions regarding the bills?
Thank you.
That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, evening board, and community. Just a quick technology update here. As of March 29th, big step forward. Took us about 2 years to get there, but all students and staff, as displayed by the graphic, have single sign-on for all their applications. So it started here about 2 years ago. It was constant password resets, and my goal was really to streamline the student experience and staff experience. So we finally put the last nail in that on the 29th, so that was huge, and it was a very seamless rollout just to make technology that much more accessible for our students and staff. Another update is as we continue to look to increase communication methods with our staff and community members, texting is now enabled for all of our teachers and staff on Ring Central, just another avenue of communication that they can use across the platform, and that was a free of charge edition we added on there. Another update, ESSER 3 laptops that were approved a couple board meetings ago. Those arrived, we're ready to go for the upcoming school year, so we'll be working through those this summer, but just want to give you an update that they all arrived and we're ready to go for the upcoming school year. And the final point here is that we've been working through a server infrastructure hardware consolidation refresh. What that looks like is we currently have 3 server rooms that are out of date across the district, and rather than us upgrading all 3, that's a very old school way to do it, is have 3 server rooms. We're looking at a consolidation failover plan with possible cloud options to do that refresh and do it in the most financial way, responsible way for the district. So I'll have more information as we move along with that process. Final point is an action item today as well, is that I just want to review our district recycling protocol and what that looks like. So we start off here, this was in our monthly newsletter. That's our students at East working on laptops. But what they do is they take the the broken laptops and they recycle the parts and continue to repair laptops using them. If we can't use those parts, we then use them to donate to other district programs, and then finally they're recycled using DoD standards. That's all I have for you tonight. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, good evening again, board and community. Thank you. For our data snapshot today, I wanted to look at three different areas. First, the 5 Essential Survey, our current freshmen on track, given that we have just ended quarter 3 on April 5th. And then just kind of an overall snapshot of the big look at the grades from each building from that end of quarter 3. So first, our 5 Essential Climate Survey. That window just closed at the end of March. So that window for this survey, we'll kind of go into what that is in a moment, opened January 30th, closed March 29th. Results typically come in around July of every year. It does take a lot of time for you Chicago Impact to kind of go comb through that data and compile those reports for consumption, and they will be open to the public to see those results. So this survey is important to us as a district. Well, it's our climate survey. This is our Illinois State Board of Education approved climate survey. The survey itself is provided and given to students, to parents, and to teachers. And we'll kind of talk through each of those and take a look at how many responses were given and how many surveys were taken across those 3 areas. This is important to us because it identifies 5 indicators that lead to improved outcomes for all students, including improved attendance and increased test score gains. UChicago Impact, through their wealth of study across the nation, kind of touts that if you take a look at, there's 5 total indicators, and history shows from their information that when you are strong in 3 of those 5 areas, you are 10 times more likely to show gains in student learning. So that's from that data, that's why it's important. So that 5 essentials comes from looking at effective leaders, collaborative teachers, involved families, supportive environments, and ambitious instruction. So looking at those 5 key areas. So all the questions from all of those 3 groups kind of feed into different areas of those different 5 essentials to give us our results. So again, we are not looking at the results right now, but just looking at the amount of input from this information. So again, why it's important to us other than we need feedback. And I think it's known just from the information that was shared in our public comment as well. We need that information from these 3 important areas. But most importantly, too, it's how we are part of how we are scored as a district. It accounts for 6.67% of our summative designation. And what that means is every school, every high school, every elementary school is rated by certain key indicators. This is one of those indicators, though a small piece of the pie. And just for an example's sake, 50% of our designation is according to our graduation rate, so both our 4-, 5-, and 6-year graduation rate. The climate survey itself, for our points, is based solely on the student response rate. So it's important, we're not scored by how people answer and what those answers are according to those 5 essentials. It's just, are we getting enough students and their feedback from this important information? So again, important, not saying that the results don't matter, because they do. It's very important to our school leaders to look deeply into that, because I tell you, that full report, it is pages and over 50 pages long of information that really drills in and provides a lot of important feedback for our schools. So on that idea, if we reach 95% participation from our students, that essentially comes out, we get all our points. All right, so that's how that comes, and then if the points are kind of tiered down. If you get 50% student participation, you are awarded 0 points for your report card, and then it kind of tiers up as you increase that participation. So again, 95, that's our goal there. So starting first at like a historical look from the past 3 years of where those response rates were for students. So starting first on the left-hand side, looking at Proviso East. Proviso East, and work by Mr. Rodney Hall and Ms. Keisha Lang, I think. I saw somewhere. Oh, there she is. All right. Knowing that team working very, very, very hard at ensuring that they are getting responses from all of their students. They reached 98% there, their highest mark in the past 3 years. So again, a big thanks to the team there. Looking at Proviso West, at a small dip in their response rate, did achieve 77% at Proviso West for this school year. And then PMSA just over that threshold of 95% and reached 96% student participation. I will point out that these are the preliminary numbers. I just sent an email to Ms. Martinez today that part of this information is also cleaning up the data. That's part of our data team. From myself and Mr. Svelnies is taking a look at the students that are designated to take the survey. They take that snapshot very early on in the year when we first enter our enrollment data in October, November to the state. And we do have some student mobility. So I just, even today, received about 50 emails where we were removing out students from that data. So I do expect that percentage of student response rate from Proviso West to increase. But these are the preliminary numbers there. Next, taking a look at our teacher response rate. Again, the threshold to get a report. So UChicago, the individuals that provide this survey, in order for us to get feedback from the teacher portion, we need to reach a threshold of 50% on the response rate from teachers. We were well over that at each of our schools, reaching 94% this year at Proviso East, 72% from Proviso West, a high this year, and PMSA at 80% for the teacher response rate. Lastly, our parents. So you'll notice here the threshold is a bit smaller. This is always the most difficult one to ensure that we're trying to get that feedback from parents. And man, I saw the efforts of Miss Hobbs and both Miss Hibbler at Proviso East and West of that parent coordinator position, trying to push out that information, and know that the PMSA effort as well on getting that information out through all different social media avenues to urge that important feedback from parents. So on this end, Proviso East had 27% of parent response rate, Proviso West, the high here at 29%, and PMSA at 22%. This is important because we need at least 20% response rate from parents in order to get results, any results back from UChicago. We hit that with all 3 of our schools, so we are, again, very, very happy with this. So before I move on from 5 essentials, I'm very eager to look at those results of that information and work with the principals and look at that feedback and make those improvements that we're getting from this feedback, again, from these 3 key areas. All right, now transitioning over to a more difficult one here is our freshmen on track. So freshmen on track. But before, I'm just going to leave these slides up here so we can stare at these numbers as I kind of talk here about this area. So freshmen on track. When the state determines if a student is on track, they are looking at the core classes. And what I mean by core classes, we're looking at English, we're looking at math, we're looking at science, and we're looking at social studies. And essentially, students have to pass their classes. We know this, but if they have any more than 1 F, they are considered off track. So you're looking at grades from first semester and from second semester, and if they have more than 1 F in a core area, that is deemed then, if they have more than 1, they are off track. So that's largely, just in a nutshell, we can go into the weeds more, but that's in a nutshell. I think we all know, but I'm going to say it anyway, that this is a key predictor of high school success for students who finish their 9th grade year on track. All right, they are more likely, and we know this, but they are more likely, ISB and other data, I think we all know, that they are more likely to graduate if they are on track their freshman year. So, taking a look at these numbers, this information here is real-time picture. So, again, at the data side of the district office, weekly information is provided to school leaders. We're even working now at providing this information as well in a slightly different format to counselors, but providing this important snapshot of how our students are doing, and not just freshmen on track, but all of the indicators that I was referencing on our report card of how we are progressing. And this is important. We think of this as your check engine light, if you will, and this regular routine maintenance that is so necessary before a catastrophic engine failure.
Yeah.
So this information is constantly updated every week. And it's important because our school leaders are utilizing this information. So our freshmen on track right now, looking at Proviso East, is at 54% that are off track and 45% that are on. At Proviso West, we have 39% of students that are on track and 60% that are off. At PMSA, 87% are currently on track and 12% are off track. And this is another one of our pieces of the pie, if you will, of how we are scored as a district. We talked about the 5 essentials. That was just over 6%, 6.67. The freshman on track metric is just over 8, at 8.33% of our overall score. When we take a look at across the year here, so on this graph, we're taking a look at the percent on track. That's our y-axis here, the up and down, and then the school week number. I want to point out some key areas, kind of looking at these dips that you see, these little wiggles, if you will, throughout the time. And we'll look at East, West, and PMSA. So pointing out that the bottom is the school week number. Our quarters are about 9 weeks. So quarter 1 is 9 weeks. Quarter 2 is 9 weeks, so that brings us to 18 weeks at semester. That 9 week and that 18 week, if you focus in, and for those that are in the back, you're going to have to squint. Otherwise, you can look at the PowerPoint. There, at the 9 week mark and at the 18 week mark, you see these dips and these wiggles. And we see that, and we started tracking this last year, so you can see that comparison between last year and this year, but it is kind of right in line with that information from last year, where right after semester we get this little push up, and then it comes back down and kind of levels off, and we should, again, historically see a little increase there from at the end of semester 2. So looking at that information to kind of tell that history, and we'll continue to track this information. West is very similar, just for a quick comparison, kind of flipping back and forth here of West and East, trying not to get anyone dizzy, but flipping back and forth. Very similar, that trend, it's a very similar trend with seeing those little increases at the quarter 9, and then that slight dip down into that 18-week right at semester there, where it kind of comes up and then comes back down there a little bit. Freshman on track at PMSA, again, very similar, again, with that trend at that 9-week mark. We see it kind of come up, and then we see that little dip there at semester there. So very similar with each of the 3 schools. Again, that on-track percentage we just saw is slightly different for each of the schools, but the overall trends are very, very similar. Lastly is the quarter 3, which just ended. So quarter 3 just ended, quarter 4 just picked up. This is an overall look of all of our students throughout the district on their grades. So if we think about every student here, they would have 7 classes, 7 grades, with 1 lunch, making their 8-period day. So this is taking a look at each school, at every single grade overall, and kind of looking at how that's distributed out overall. All right, before I move on from the metric area, I thought I'd pause just to see if there are any questions, because we're going to get into something else. So I'm happy if there's anything here on these 2 areas of freshmen on track or the grades.
I have a question.
Mr. Valtier's had his hand up.
Go ahead. For my question is, I can barely see this red. You're saying 27% of students at Proviso East. How accurate is this?
It is very accurate. It's pulled right from our student information system. and when grades were stored, this is the issue.
So, let's just talk for Proviso West specifically. Of course subjects. Now, I'm talking about math, science, and how many F's do student freshmen have?
I don't know off the top of my head. This is all.
So if we can get that information, that's going to be important, because those are the questions that I've gotten from parents.
Yes, ma'am.
So percentage that looks good, that looks great, but how many core subjects that are freshmen not passed?
And when we say core, just so we're speaking the same language: English, math, science.
English, math, science.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So looking at this data here for East, I see that in 2022, 2023, 2024, there was this Proviso East started dropping at 5% in the beginning, the first few weeks, and then started doing 10%, and then 15%, and eventually towards the end of the year, it was 20%. And I'm freshman on track. I mean, if you look at the graph, right? And then at Proviso West, same thing, 5%, 10%, 5%, it was back and forth, but eventually it did drop. What were we doing different in 2022, 2023, and 2023, 2024? We were doing better than
So, hearing your question of what were we doing better than, or what were we doing differently?
2022 to 2023 versus 23, 24, which is now. What were we doing differently then? It was working. What were we doing differently? I mean, I know it's a big question.
Yeah, no, that's a big one to unpack.
So maybe the principles will know better. To me, it looks like we were doing great in 2022, 2023 versus now.
Alex, can I answer? I'll answer for the three schools. 2022, 2023 versus 2023, 2024, we had a 50% policy. And that policy was a safety net for students. So regardless if the student did any work or not, they received a 50%.
That's great.
Which, you know, when you average it over a quarter, if a student is going, so the students got real good at figuring out if they got a 50% at the end of the first quarter, what they would need the second quarter to pull that grade up where they got the credit at the semester. Now, this year, we don't have that. They're getting true grading, and the kids are struggling a lot more. We're missing a lot of the foundational supports that those students need as it relates to looking at the data when those students come in and making sure we have appropriate supports.
I have a question for Mr. Hall.
Hold on. So 50% is a big difference, but if you look at the graphs, as I mentioned, it was only 5-10% difference on the graphs.
We can't hear you, Sam.
So I understand percentages and graphs, so I didn't consider big. So even though you did have the 50%, correct?
Yeah.
The graphs show, especially at East and West, as I mentioned, 5%, the beginning and 10%. So it's only a 10% difference versus 22, 23 versus this year. So if it was a 50% difference in grading, it should have been a larger difference. Why is it so small?
Last year, this time, East was at 76% of students on track, and we ended the year at 69% on track. This year, we're at 45%, and we've been climbing and trying to get those scores up, so the dips are not representative of the on-track percentage.
Would it be Mr. Holson just speaking? Yeah, sorry. Can we have the fighting settled down because it's really hard to understand what's being said. Mr. Holson just speaking for all three schools. When we're talking about the 22-23 school year, students were struggling, but they had that 50% kind of net, so they only had to work a little bit to get it up. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes.
So is it fair to say, because the lines aren't that far apart when we look at it now, so kids may still be struggling, but they're actually working harder to actually have the lines that close together. Is that correct?
They're working harder to try to get passing grades.
Okay.
But regardless of what they did last year, the lowest grade they could receive was 50%. It was like that last year and the year before. And this year when we took that support away, or that found that threshold where the kids were given a 50%, the students are still, the teachers are really working with the students, really making sure that they are prepared for testing at the end of the year. But the amount of growth that those students need to make over the course of the quarter, over the course of the semester, or 3/4 of the year, like where we are now with SAT testing today or tomorrow, and PSAT testing today, it's a lot of growth that they have to make. So we look at the math test that the students are taking into account, look at their fall or winter and winter to spring scores to see how much growth they're making. We'll give them growth targets and things like that they have to make. And that's the way we are able to measure their growth. By the end of the year, we're hoping to get those percentages up where we don't have as many students in summer school. But ultimately, when we look at where those students are coming in at, and have them come in taking IM 1, English 1 classes without the supports that they need, we have some growth to make as a district.
Another factor to compensate is the teachers' remediation policies are more robust now, because if they have a bigger goal that has started off at the beginning of the year, there has to be give and take. So if they were very inflexible previously on late policies or remediation, they modified the policy on their course syllabus to account for, assessment makeups or redoing stuff, being very particular on their rubrics so that the success criteria are outlined very well. Maybe previously when we had the 50%, it was not as explicit, so that has closed a little bit of the gap, I think, as well. Why it's not as stark like Mr. Valtier said.
And if I could add just one more thing to that, because I agree with both of them. The other thing is that we're really looking at the integrity of the data, as Mr. Ashoff has expressed. What we've been doing is cleaning up data to make sure that it is true integrity of what we're doing and the research-based best practices that we're putting in place now. So I think as we're all kind of moving into more rigorous and practices that make an impact on student learning outcomes. So we've had a little bit of shift from before.
Thank you.
And follow-up question. What are these spikes on week 8 and 9 and on 18? Is that testing?
That's the end of the quarter. So traditionally there's that little push, if you will, like, all right, let's go, quarter's ending, because that quarter grade kind of, if you will, like locks in. So we pull it to make it a historic grade.
Jumps.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I would like for and Tucker, I want you all to pay attention to this information that's being put out, because a lot of you may not understand it, but I want you to know what the core issue is here. None of these numbers matter, none of what they're saying matters, because half of our teachers miss more than 10 days a year. So if our teachers are not in the classroom, we have a 52% rate. Go to ISA, go to the Illinois State Report Card. 52% of our teachers miss more than 10 days a year. So what chance do our freshmen have with whatever program we come up with? What chance do our students have when the people we employ to teach them don't choose to come to work, more than half of them? Now, all 3 of them over there that just gave you those explanations, they're responsible for those teachers' attendance and evaluations. Let me give you some numbers. 97% of our teachers are evaluated efficient or above. Now, how do you get 97% of your teachers evaluated that way, but 52% of them don't come to work or chronically truant? So don't let the numbers and stuff fool you. Ask the real questions and deal with the real issues. There's a culture and climate issue here. Not with all of the teachers, but 52% of them have an attendance problem, according to the Illinois State Report Card. You're not going to change numbers when you don't have committed teachers in the classroom. You're not going to change numbers and teach when you don't have teachers in the classroom that are paid to be there. And that's the bottom line. We got to get a control on the culture and climate of teaching in this district. All these numbers are going to continue to ebb and flow, and our students are going to suffer. because they're coming into a district where the teaching population is not dedicated to coming to work.
I have a question too. So we've identified, right, we have 2 years of data that have identified where these dips occur. What can we do and what will we do different next year to kind of mitigate these?
No, that very fair question. So the things kind of going on right now, kind of to Mr. Valtier's point as well. So some examples. So at West, we know that they have individuals right now serving as coaches for freshman success. That was one thing. So think about it, for freshman success, it's during that lunch period for freshmen. They eat lunch for half of the period, and the other half of the period is more of that support time. Right now, we only have 7 coaches serving 200 students. They've already identified 10 coaches have been interviewed, hired, so that on day 1, we can get that support for every 9th grader being assigned to a coach, if you will. That's one of the bigger highlights on West. On the East side too, they presented this idea of goal setting and meeting with students and having those important conversations of where they want to be and how they're going to achieve success. Identifying and meeting with students that are on track to support and attend summer school. So our counselors do a phenomenal job every year at supporting that effort. You're going to see a summer school slide here in a minute. We know that we have to work with the students while they're with us, but summer school also is an option there as well. Calling and working with parents and students, making sure we identify that, because again, with our data tool, you can kind of drill in, find those students, and have access to all that student information if and when needed. We know we've heard other comments about Saturday and after-school tutoring. We know that is going. We're trying to ramp that up. We heard Ms. Lippa Stewart kind of speak to the little surge that she had there, and the same thing going on at East as well. That is in full swing as well. So those are some of the key things. I think looking at that freshman success as well, having that dedicated time of working with the students where they're looking at their grades, looking at their progress, making those goal-setting meetings of where they're at, and then having that conduit between a trusted adult and then the other teachers that are supporting students.
Thank you.
Yes.
So Mr. Ashoff is going to get the number of failures of one or more core subjects, not just for freshmen, but sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I understand at senior we have a pretty high failure rate. I know you could not do, but I know they're trying to work on it so that they can get some people across the finish line. But I also look at when half of each class is failing, how is the overall number 26%? Teachers do math on a daily basis. That's like play with the numbers as far as I'm concerned. I think it's very imperative that we get the amount of students that have failed one or more core subjects. I'm real concerned, as I said at the last board meeting, if we were going to move from the 50%, I think we should have waited because it affected our senior class tremendously. Tremendous. Yeah. It did not even afford those students an opportunity to try and work something out. Ms. Grant said it was going into effect immediately, and it has affected the city graduating class. So I think those are things that we need to do. I really want to know the number, not the pie, none of that. What is the real number? If you can get that, I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Any other questions in this area before we continue? All right, so talking about that information, I'm going to transition over to summer school options. So summer school for this year, registration is officially open. In a moment, many parents, or you can pause it if you will. If you're live streaming, you're going to see a QR code. That's one of the options. Also, it's found on our district website as well. So some key things with summer school, we presented this at the last board meeting, but wanted to bring it again forward to everyone here. We have original credit options in multiple courses. We have credit recovery that is both going to look at in-person versus also credit recovery via Edgenuity. Edgenuity is our online support tool, if you will. And we're also looking at enrichment opportunities, of which one you will see highlighted here today. The locations, we're looking at hosting summer school at Proviso East and Proviso West. That means for our students attending this school here, they would attend their home school. Home school would mean where you would live in the boundary. If you live in the boundary of Proviso East, you would attend that. Proviso West, same thing. Important here on the registration, parents, please, if you're considering this, and counselors know this as well, and teachers know this as well, we're asking that you register before May 31st. If you register before May 31st, there is no fee. After that date, we're looking at a $100 fee. So look at that. If you have questions, please talk with your teachers, talk with your schools. If you have questions on that, if you should or if you shouldn't, please register, because it's important for us so that we can capture that registration to make sure that we have enough staff to support the students that are in need for this option, whether it is original credit or recovery or even enrichment option. So please, please, please register before May 31st. Otherwise, there will be a $100 fee associated. If you are interested in summer school, just as a quick option here, we have the website there at the top is what we call the SMORE, the district communication out. This is a QR code that will lead you to the registration option so parents or students can register. Again, students have that conversation with your parents, work with them, but this is an option for you to get registered. You can pause this at any time. I'm going to click away from it in just a second.
I have a question though.
Yes, ma'am.
So on the form, when you click the link to register, there's a little bit of, I guess I should talk to Mr. Valente too, but just so you're aware that it's a little confusing if you're looking to register your incoming ninth grader for session 1 or 2. The only options are original credit or credit recovery. There's no, so for those incoming 8th grade families, that form needs to be cleared up.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. Okay, one of our enrichment opportunities, I'm happy to say, is going to be what we're calling our newcomer camp. I think it's everyone, we know that we are getting a lot of students new to us, original entry to the United States schools. So we have this flyer created by Ms. Mendieta. We thank her for doing this, getting this into the hands of all of our registration teams, because we will be opening registration for the following school year soon.
Yeah,
We'll talk
Mr.
about that.
Ashcroft?
Yeah.
Hang on. Audience, please. We really need the side conversations to stop. This is important information.
Well, they were trying to understand that it wasn't in English.
It was
so
right.
we
We're
just
talking
wondered
over
why
here,
it
man. We're trying to find out what's up there. We're talking about what he's discussing.
Right, but
We're trying to understand and follow along with him.
I know, but we really have to have the conversation stop, okay?
So Ashcroft, will you have that one in English?
So this is the newcomer camp. So designed specifically, and we see most of our newcomers are coming from areas where Spanish is the primary language. We can certainly create this in English. It was designed primarily for students that are coming us from Venezuela, Guatemala. We're thinking of other areas, Mexico. So this is a specific opportunity for those students. So working with our registration teams, when we get, because with any student that's registered, we have to identify, are they coming to us from another district, or are they an original entry to the U.S.? These are important questions that we collect during registration. So we're going to have this opportunity, and this is going to allow our students to kind of make new friendships, learn about the school, provide opportunities for our newcomers to help support them when they're first coming to us from another location. This is also for communication-wise. This is our lead for our English language learner, or English learner coordinator. This is Mr. Demetrius Calieris, so that's his email there at the bottom, D. Calieris for more information there. This is a QR code, again, if you were interested in trying to learn more about this opportunity, you can scan this QR code with your smartphone to learn more information about this opportunity. I'll leave that up for just a moment.
Is part of this program then to test and the students so that when they're coming in, we already know what their language proficiency is?
I'll be honest, I have to look at what the program course is kind of designed about. I don't have that information on top of my head. It's a good thought though, because we know we are, and the board just passed 11 more FTEs, so full-time equivalent employees for English learners and ESL endorsed teachers, having those teachers with those credentials, making sure that they are properly placed. Primarily we use the access test for that, but it's a good idea, and I'll speak with Mr. Calieris about that to see if that is one of the aspects. I think more of it was just about the community building and welcoming students and involving them in it so they feel more involved. But that's an important note. Thank you. Mr. Valtieres, did you have a? All right. Next, registration. So now we're moving away from summer school. We're talking about the regular school year. In the regular school year, our calendar is posted for the following 24-25 school year on our district website. So everyone knows school is starting earlier in August. With that, we're going to be moving into our registration season. We're collecting information about students coming to us, again, from either 8th grade, coming into us from our foundation schools. Our foundation school principals and superintendents have been phenomenal. We're working on strengthening that and meeting with them. Mr. Pavone and I have met with those area superintendents. We're very thankful to have these conversations, and we did design that calendar around with each of the foundation schools so we can be more aligned. So, saying it out loud, that registration is going to be online. So, we did try this 2 years ago. We have learned from that time 2 years ago. We did do paper registration. Not saying that paper won't be available, but we are encouraging that parents complete all of the registration online and doing that online. We are opening registration May 1st, and we'll make sure to communicate around that to collect all of the information, and we'll make it as seamless as possible for our returning students, where all of the information is going to be pre-populated. If you do have questions about this, because what we are urging for all of our returning parents, please, you are going to need a PowerSchool Parent Portal account. So what that means is essentially you need a specific access code and an ID. You need that in order to access the parent portal, which will then allow you to complete the registration forms. If you do not have a parent portal account, please contact our schools, work with our parent coordinators there. They'd be more than happy to help you, and work with PMSA, with Ms. Terrell there, helping and supporting that effort as well. So we have these phone numbers here. If you have any questions about that, please work ahead of time to get this parent portal set up, and we have numerous staff to be more than willing and able to help you, make sure and guide you through that to get that account so you can complete this online registration process. All right, nearing to the end here. Today we had our PSAT 8-9 and our PSAT 10. This is a state-approved test. This is the first year that it was done digitally. We piloted that in the fall. It went phenomenal. Again, a big praise to our schools and our testing coordinators. So at Proviso East, it is Mr. Garcia. Proviso West, it's Dr. Gottlieb with support from Ms. Scoopus. And at PMSA, we have Ms. Amy Paulus. They worked tirelessly to ensure that every student was assigned to a room in testing. So we thank them for that. It went very smoothly today. I was able to visit each of the schools and work with each of the schools today, so thank you. Tomorrow is a very important day because that is the SAT. That is for all of our grade 11 students. And it is by grade level, so not how many years you've been in school, but by grade level according to your amount of credits. We do have some seniors that do need to take it that missed it in a prior year that have been identified to test. Please, we need you to attend. We need you to be well rested, well fed. We'll have breakfast available too for all students. Please bring your charged computer, bring your charger just in case, and make sure that that Blue Book application is downloaded. A simple Google search, download Blue Book if you do not have it, because that is how you're going to access the test. Again, it's a digital format. We look forward to getting these results. They're going to be sooner, but this is again talking about our report card for our district. 7.5% of our slice of our pie, if you will, is from our progress in English. The other 7.5% is on our progress, our proficiency level for math. So looking at 15% of our designation is going to be on our performance of our grade 11 students taking the SAT. We very much look forward to the results of that, but again, it's very hard work to ensure that we test and assess all of our students. All right, that concludes my portion. Before I pass it over to Mr. Kelvin Davis, again, just making sure to see if there's any last questions with any of this last bit of information.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. All right, next up is Mr. Kelvin Davis to speak about sports summer camp.
Good evening. Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Mr. Maloney, Mr. Ashaw, and community. I want to talk a little bit tonight about the Proviso Township 3rd Annual Summer Sports Camp for 2024. We think it's a great opportunity to develop our young student athletes, and this program will be available to incoming freshmen as well as our current high school students. The schedule for the Summer Sports Camp program will take place during session 1 and also session 2 of the regular summer school program. It will be after summer school hours. So we look at session 1, there are 8 days, and then in session 2 of summer school, there are 9 days. So we have 17 total days where we will conduct summer sports camp. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be the days of the week. Registration will be available on our 8 to 18 registration portal. We will have a QR code and all of the information out during the month of May. Here's a sample of the daily curriculum. We really think that this is a great opportunity, and we have seen results after the first 2 years. We think it's an opportunity to develop our young student athletes. This is a breakdown of some of the things that will go on during the week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll have health and wellness, and also nutrition that will be provided by our Loyola Health Clinic. We talk with them, and we'll be working with them on those things. We will also provide NCAA clearinghouse information to our student athletes, because it's really important for students and parents to know what the requirements are to accept an athletic scholarship, and that is part of our mission to enhance scholarship opportunities. Strength and conditioning, weight training is very important. It will make our teams more competitive in the West Suburban Conference and in the IHSA. We want our coaches to focus on fundamental drills and skills, and we also want to have a lot of scrimmaging and tournament play to simulate what we encounter during the season. We will also have some activities that will be off campus, just to have those experiences. Here's the setup of the summer camps. Proviso East and Proviso West are the camp locations. There'll be 10 mini camps at each school. The mini camps are actually specific team camps. And in those team camps, you'll see all of our major sports: baseball, football, cheerleading, golf, softball, swim, tennis, track, volleyball. All of the sports that we are involved in during the regular school year. And again, our intention is to develop our student athletes, work on our skills, become more competitive in the West Suburban Conference and in the IHSA. The Camp Power formula is here. We'll have one head coach at each mini camp or team camp, and we'll have one assistant coach for every 15 students that register. The projection is to have approximately 30 student athletes in each of the 10 camps. So we estimate that we will service about 600 students, 300 at Proviso East and 300 at Proviso West. We've also added security staff and 2 camp aides to each site. So the budget that we have comes in around the same as it has the last 2 years, around $100,000. Camp is important. One other item that I submitted to the board tonight is the Illinois High School Association membership renewal. Something that is done annually. There's no cost involved. The board is asked to review it, sign off, and let the IHSA know that we will continue to be members of the state association and abide by the Constitution and bylaws for compliance. If there are no questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. I have one comment, and it's related to the holiday tournament.
Okay.
Could you provide an update as to the planning involved and what's going on and what you have anticipated for the holiday tournament?
Yes, we know that last year we got a really late start, but we had an early start this year. Last month, we did send out contacts to some of the top high schools in the state of Illinois, and we actually do have commitments. We actually have contracts that have been returned to us. So as of today, we have 6 contracts. Of course, 16 is the number that we have for the holiday tournament. So we have 6 contracts, and they're all top schools. So we're off to a good start, and we'll continue.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And that concludes the co-interim superintendent report. I'll take this one's word.
Yes, please. It's just one slide, so if you could just go to the second slide. Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. I'll be brief. I just want to draw your attention to some important upcoming dates. We have several Board of Education committee meetings this month. We have our community and parent and community engagement meeting coming up. That's going to be on April 16th, this coming Monday. The day after, we have our finance committee meeting on April 17th, and then our policy committee meeting is on April 29th this month. Those are open to the public. Anyone is welcome to attend. Feel free to come and see what kind of the work that goes on before it gets to the board agenda. And then also other upcoming dates. I know Mr. Ashoff had mentioned summer school registration. It's open now through May 31st, and it is free. Registration is free now through May 31st. And then we also have our 24-25 enrollment that will begin on May 1st. But before that, really important is parent-teacher conferences that are coming up on Thursday, April 18th. That will be 6 to 8 p.m. at all 3 schools. You don't need an appointment to come to these. We urge all parents to come, bring your students if you'd like. Come to your school, meet your kids' teachers, sit with them, talk with them. This is really important. The last time we did this each semester, and last time we had, I can only speak for the West where I went to talk to my kids' teachers, but we had a really great turnout, and that was positive. We'd like to see even more parents this time around. So please come out, meet your students' teachers, talk about their progress, talk about what they need to be doing in semester 2 to continue progressing through their grade levels. So that's really important. And also, I don't have a slide, but upcoming in all 3 schools, I believe, we have spring plays are coming up. We have our play at West for all colored girls. That's this Thursday and Friday night. We urge everyone to come and support the arts. We have Almost Maine, which is coming up here at PMSA, and I am not sure what the the East plate is. No, yeah, the PMSA one's here, but I'm not sure what the East one is. But all those things are coming up. All of those things are on our website. Look for the newsletters that our parent coordinators come out with. It has a lot of great information, but we really want to make sure that, we talk so much about math and science and, reading and all that important stuff, but the arts are just as important. And so many of our students, get excited and find their voice and purpose when they're, doing the arts. Maybe it's drama, maybe it's band, maybe it's speech team, whatever it is. But they really need that community support. So we do invite everyone to come and see these performances. The Wiz is at East. Thank you. The Wiz is at East. So all of these are going to be great. Bring your kids. I know when my kids were younger, they especially liked coming to the high school plays because they could see what the older kids were doing. It's such a great way to introduce kids to theater and to support the kids who are here now doing it. So please, please, please come see these shows.
One slight correction there. The finance committee meeting needs to be rescheduled for a later date, or it says TV.
Okay. All right. Well, it will be posted on the website, and it will always, all of the board meetings and the committee meetings are posted on the calendar on the school website. So definitely check that out. All right. That's what I have. Thank you so much. All right. At this time, may I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the March 12th, 2024 board meeting, please? Thank you. Any discussion?
Discussion. Again, I will address the fact that in the future, I think we should ask how this works, especially for some of our new board members, the board members attending our conferences. I will not be voting for these meetings because it was alleged that Ms. Wright made the motion to approve consent agenda 22, approve of board member conference attendance, moved by Mr. Ocampo, second by Ms. Barbian. There was a discussion. Mr. Ocampo had concerns about the itinerary, even though he was in receipt of the itinerary. Plan and total cost of the national convention. He was in receipt of that as well. Politics must stop. I don't know of any boards of education that deny board members to attend the National School Board of Education conference. It was paid. I did attend the conference and I will continue to attend conferences. I will do what's right because, like I said, again, he attended the conference and never brought it before the board, but he went. So why is it good for some and not good for others? This is a transparent board, allegedly. With the $698 he used to attend the conference in November was never approved. So I'm going to be addressing that at a later date. So no, I will not. That's my discussion.
Unfortunately, board members traveling on taxpayer dimes that hasn't been approved by the board, there is actually, unfortunately, a precedent for that. And so we do have records from past trips that board members had attended that were never brought up to the board.
Cutie pie, I paid for my own airline. Okay. And that's why when he asked the question, how much was the trip, it was stated, $1,250 that went down the drain. I don't have to tell him how much the airline ticket was. I paid for it myself. I don't have to tell him how much the hotel was. I paid for it myself. So what you guys did is ate the cost of $1,250 because you were being paid. You had the information. I attended the conference and you guys gave the National School Board Conference $1,250 free of charge of taxpayers' money because of your pettiness.
If I may, in June 13, 2017, I have a list here of 2 board members that went on a...
We talking about this conference. We talking about, you know what, you have a personal issue with me, and because you have a personal issue, you thought you were going to
email for approval of conference and travel expenses that were itemized.
We weren't here in 2013.
2017.
Okay, we weren't here in 2017, we got elected in 2017.
But I'm saying that there's a precedent.
No, there is no precedent. Talk about what you know.
Talk about what you know. You don't know.
We about the Seattle flight for the Black Male Educator Summit that was not approved.
It was approved. It's such a liar.
No, because
it was approved. It was brought to the board and it was approved.
Let's talk about the $698 you went to
Or the flight that Mr. Teresa County had with Dr. Henderson back in June 24, 2022.
Here's what they're saying. So guess what? So if we did it wrong, you guys are going to do it too. Is that what you're saying?
And that's why I paid for my own ticket. I wasn't going to do it wrong.
Give me a minute.
She has a right to go to a national conference and you guys told her she shouldn't.
And she won.
And she paid
for it. I don't get paid to sit on this board. Just like the $100 that you took from the Echo Club that you never reported. Let's talk about it.
Excuse me.
Just stick with the, can we get to the money talking
Because I was
so today.
I'll explain the finance committee. I invite you all to the finance committee.
You know what you're talking about before you talk. You just got off the book.
Mr. Alexander? And calling the roll.
I pay my way. I pay my way.
Mr. Alexander?
This is for the minutes, right?
That's correct.
Aye.
Mrs. Hickson? Sir Campo? Ms. Patterson?
No.
Sorry?
No.
Ms. Grant? Aye. Mr. Belzeras? Ms. Barberland? Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the April 9th, 2024 bills list as presented?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Mrs. Hickson? Aye. Mr. Campbell? Aye. Ms. Patterson? Aye. Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Belzeras?
Aye.
Ms. Barberland? Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the non-renewal probationary teachers Cheryl Brown, Judith Pollock, Colette Salinas, Dan Stamer, Saul Zamora, effective as of the end of the 2023-24 school term as recommended by the administration. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Discussion. For these teachers that you are releasing, granted some of them are first year teachers, some of them are second year teachers. But when I look at the reason that these teachers are being released, we are the teacher shortage, yes, it was suggested, but we don't want anyone that's not a good fit. But we didn't worry about that last year when everybody was yelling and screaming and, doing what they were doing. Teachers are important in any district. They're in the trenches, they make the world go round. And when I see, I'm going to call names, Ms. Cheryl Brown, young teacher, graduate of Proviso West High School, went to college, came back to give back. But when I see that they're releasing her, mind you people, you don't have to have a reason for a first year teacher. But you cannot tell me that this young lady could not go on instant suspension. You asked her to come back, Ms. Martinez, to run that room, and she agreed. She ran the reset room as a teacher. She's non-tenured 1 year. The reason they're releasing her they were unable to formally, listen people, they were unable to formally evaluate her due to being hired. What that said is we couldn't evaluate her because she was hired late. Based on observation and teacher conversation, teacher needs improvement with domain 2. Well, domain 2 has something to do with evaluation. Did you hear what I just said? They didn't evaluate. So how are you going to use the terms that's associated with the evaluation? Planning and preparation. What do you need to plan to sit in an in-school suspension? Domain number 3, instruction. I think she's very capable. If a kid got a homework packet that they're sitting in a suspension room with, that she can help them with that. Domain number 4, professional responsibilities, whatever that is. We have to remove our personal feelings against some of our teachers. That young lady was asked to fill vacancies that she didn't have a certification, like English, like math, like social studies or science. And she said, I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm a PE teacher. That's what she went to school for. And so when she said no to that, now she's not good enough to work. That young lady has been working in Proviso since she was about 8, 9, 10 years old. Her mother worked in the district for the Booster Club free of charge for about 17 years. But she lives here now. She lives in our community, but she can't work here. But we have a principal over there where the building is completely out of control, and she gives a recommendation that this young lady don't come back. I have a problem with that. I want to go for that. Jack Gibbons, teacher, had students call me early in the morning, late at night, in reference to this teacher who they felt had a rapport and can deal with and work with these students. Social studies, he's proficient. What's his evaluation say? Non-tenured, year 2. Poor attendance. Over 50% of your teachers have poor attendance. So you let them go because he had poor attendance? We got the numbers right here. Failure to attend new teacher mentor monthly meetings last year and this year. Large numbers of student failures, that's across the district, you just seen. Does not differentiate instruction for students falling behind. Does not update grade book in a timely manner. Often weeks go by with no updates. What did the administration do as far as giving him mentorship, coaching? What did they do? Judith, even though these people have been forced to resign, I'm going on, this is what they told me. I'm just reading what they told me. Art needs improvement. Non-tenure, 1 year. Concerning domain 3 instruction. What type of mentor did the teacher do? What type of coaching? Does not consistently execute a coherent and engaging lesson for students. What did you do to help the person? We should be trying to encourage teachers. We have a teacher shortage. Here's a lady that I got so many phone calls on from parents as well as students from PMSA. Social studies. She's proficient, non-tenured, poor attendance. It's across the district. Failure to follow IH, Black History curriculum or use textbook. Often leaves early before contractual school day ends. I see it all the time in East, West, and PMSA. Without notifying admin. Does not participate during faculty PLC. Use of copy machine or is on laptop. Often sit at desk during class time. Just take a look around the school when you walk in. You can see that. You don't get rid of somebody. You help them. These are young folk. But we have a principal at PMSA that's your interim that came in, moving to the top. I'm going to just talk about what I'm talking about. Dan, math teacher, proficient, non-tenured, concerned in domain 2 classroom environment. That means classroom management. Help him. Help him. Domain 3, professionalism. Trouble building rapport in a positive classroom environment. Classroom management. With students and colleagues. It was Dan. Sarah, English, proficient, non-tenured, year 2. Concern for domain 2, classroom environment, classroom management. What did you do to help? She has asked for multiple students to be switched out of her class. Demonstrate lack of ability to effectively manage your classroom. How did you help her? My last one here. Special ed, needs improvement, non-tenured, year 2. Concern in domain 1, planning, and domain 3, instruction, has not demonstrated the ability to plan and execute a coherent lesson. No help, right? This other one here. Needs improvement, non-tenured, concern in domain 3, instruction, does not consistently execute a coherent and engaging lesson. But we got principals sitting in their office not doing any engaging either. They're responsible. For that matter, let me see this guy. Don't see his name, so I won't talk about it. But we're forcing these people to resign. We have a teacher shortage. Last year they said we had a teacher shortage and it was okay. Mr. Grant brought everybody back that had been released for some reason or another. It was okay. But now, you're going to push these folks out the door. These are young teachers, and they, I feel, is not given a fair shot. So maybe we need to be removing some of these principles. What I find interesting, and I'm going to close, is not one administrator was let go. And they haven't been the best. Some of them. Some of them have done their jobs, and many of them have not and have not and will not. Because they can't. Thank you.
Did you show the same concern for the teachers you were trying to fire last week?
No, we try to release one, Mr. Look, Mr. Big Stuff. We tried to release one, and we were told we couldn't.
No,
so when you come for me, please do your homework, sir.
Non-renewal, and then you disregarded
I
it.
did.
You disregarded it. So that's not true. Administrators were evaluated. One was recommended for non-renewal.
And he was a black man. Everybody was recommended to stay with the black man. Talk about it, Amanda. I'm no longer going to sit quietly. No man.
Who was evaluated?
The black man.
Who was evaluated by
the black man was evaluated with excellent, and they want to come back and say, oh,
who was evaluated?
We made a mistake. The calculator wasn't working.
Who was
if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
So how do we pick and choose which ones to listen to, Della? We have to believe what people are saying. When a principal comes,
you had a personal issue with him because he had some issues with a white teacher at Proviso, 2 white teachers, 3 to be exact.
I have no.
You're the reason the man was moved to Proviso East.
That
in red writing, you clearly said it wasn't the superintendent's directive, it was Amanda Grant. Because you had the superintendent, the janitor, the teacher, you all of it.
Man, if you put as much effort into building this district as you do coming up with these lies, we would have
all of it. That's all you do. You're a pathological liar.
No, Della, you're cranking them out. Cranking them out like it's
that's
your
just
job.
Like you call us.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a motion on the floor. Ms. Barberman, please call the roll.
But that's okay.
Mr. Alexander?
People talk.
Mrs. Hickson? Mr. Ocampo? Ms. Patterson?
Nay.
Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Gutierrez? Ms. Barberman, nay. Motion failed.
May I have a motion to approve the Proviso East, West, and PMSA District IT recycling of outdated technology as presented? Any discussion?
Discussion, I had mentioned in previous meetings that we're letting thousands and thousands of dollars go by not at least getting some kind of funds from these recyclers that go and sell these things and over $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 like this batch, like it was like last week. So that's it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Mrs. Hickson?
Aye.
Mr. Ocampo?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Gutierrez?
Nay.
Ms. Barberman? Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the memoranda of agreement with the PSRP union as recommended by the administration?
So
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Mrs. Dixon?
Aye.
Mr. Ocampo?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson? Aye. Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Gutierrez?
Aye.
Ms. Barberhand? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. May I have a motion to authorize the appointments, resignations, terminations, and stipend awards as set forth in the April 9th, 2024 personnel report as presented?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Madam President, I do have a discussion. Do you mind tabling 6A until we can get further clarification?
I'm sorry, which one?
6A, until we can get further clarification.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to amend the motion then. May I have a motion to authorize the appointments, resignations, terminations, and stipend awards as set forth in the April 9th, 2024 personnel report minus section 6 as presented?
So
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
We're voting to table?
Oh,
We are voting.
we're voting on everything else in the
But
table.
removing.
Right,
Okay.
we're removing that.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Mrs. Dixon?
Aye.
Mr. Ocampo? Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Gutierrez?
Aye.
Ms. Barberhand? Aye. Motion carried.
Yeah, if we're removing it, we don't need to table, correct? Thank you. Ms. Barberhand, could you please read the FOIA report into record?
Proviso Township High School District 209 received the following FOIA requests. March 28, 2024, the bid opening tabulation or apparent low bidder on the district capital improvements, project bid release 17. It's still in process of being fulfilled. April 1st, 2024, copies of the bid tabulations regarding capital improvements, still in the process of being fulfilled. April 3rd, 2024, the number and or names of Proviso Township High School 209 employee from August 2020 until September 2023. Says please identify whether the employees were terminated or resigned, and the number of lawsuits against Proviso Township High School District 209 between August 2020 until present. April 5th, 2024, the bid results, tabulations, or award of 4. March 1st, 2024, Proviso Township High School District number 209, Proviso West Canopy and Bathrooms, Cook County. Still in process of being fulfilled.
Thank you.
That ends it. No,
Because we removed it, we don't have to, we just removed it. Oh, she said for clarification, so it would come back later, once we had clarification. Oh, I just asked if we removed it, did we have to table, and he said no. Yeah. So, at this time, can I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Ms. Barberhand, please call the roll.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Ms. Dixon?
Aye.
Mr. Ocampo? Ms. Patterson? Ms. Grant? Aye. Mr. Gutierrez? Ms. Barberhand? Aye. Motion carried. We are adjourned at 9:34 p.m.
Thank you.